you want to say hello, Joe?
Hello, everyone. This is Joe Coogan in Minneapolis. And Barb Lagoni and I and Crystal Johnson are going to be sharing information with you this evening on helping our kids have their best year ever. And who doesn't want that?
So we are, and we have as our guest tonight, we've invited Crystal Johnson because about 5 years ago, did we decide, Crystal?
Right.
She began bringing Shackley products into her home and was going to share with us what happened to her children as a result of that. And so, oh, I'm clicking here. I'm wondering why you weren't clicking, Joe. Is get that going. And so the question I wanted to ask everybody is, what if our children could have perfect attendance at school this year? What if they could get straight A's? What if learning could come more easily for them? What if our kids could have their very best year ever in school? And this is actually what happened to Crystal Johnson and her family about 5 years ago when they began using Shackley products. And so we've asked Crystal to join us and share a little bit about their story. So, Crystal, tell us about Christian and Lauren and what was happening before you learned about Shack products.
Well, before Shackley, my kids were always fighting some kind of allergy or whatever they picked up at school. Lauren missed about 10 to 12 days of school a year. She's a very huggy child, and she would bring home everything that everyone else had. In third grade, in third grade, I actually stopped volunteering as a parent chaperone for her field trips because she would always seem to get sick for the field trips, which then became a problem for the teachers to have to find a replacement for me besides her missing the field trip. And Christian didn't miss as much school as Lauren, but he had bad allergies and he would get sinus infections or bronchitis every winter. And I was giving him Zyrtec and Flonase and regularly trying to manage this allergy, asthma, sinus infection, kind of fall-winter cycle each year. And he even had sinus surgery at age 6. So this had been going on for a long time with him. And they both had inhalers. I mean, you see Lauren there with a soccer ball, but she missed a lot of soccer games because she would have this seasonal asthma and would have to stop and use an inhaler. And they needed those inhalers throughout the year, now and again, and I spent a lot of time and money on their illnesses.
Okay, and those pictures, by the way, Crystal is in Houston now because she just has taken her son, who in this picture he's what, in 6th or 7th grade, the one that we're looking at, and I called her and I said, "Can we have a picture of your kids at the age when you started them on the products?" And it happened she was staying at the home of good friends who had her children's pictures. So she took a picture of the pictures in the frames. I love that. Good for you. Okay, so enter Shackley. Then what happened?
Well, I actually started with Shackley with the Oprah pack of Earth Day products in 2007. And about a year after starting with the non-toxic Get Clean products, then I started the kids on the Vitale and Optiflora and the meal shakes. They loved the meal shakes. So sometimes that would be a breakfast for them if we were in a hurry, or I always would insist that they have protein for breakfast after I had listened to a few of the Shackley webinars like this one, and I got a better understanding of how breakfast was very important, and protein for breakfast was important. And so I began with the cleaners. Then by the next year, I was giving the kids the Defend and Resist if they came home from school saying they felt like they were getting sick. I would add a little extra fiber or Citraboost to their meal shakes sometimes, which were then their favorite after-school snacks too. and I made their shakes so that I could always sneak the extra things in them. And then I added in B complex to their morning vitamins and an omega guard. And if they argued about it, I would just tell them, well, the Optiflora doesn't even count because it's so small.
Good mom.
If they argued a little more, I would sometimes take away one of the Vital E's and tell them they could take it after school. And that was the year that I cleaned out a lot of the expired stuff in the medicine cabinet. And I threw out inhalers, Flonase, Zyrtec, and countless other bottles of over-the-counter medicines. And then in 7th grade, Lauren was actually more happy that she had had perfect attendance than with her all A's year and not missing field trips. And she hung up her report card in her room, folded back with the attendance part showing and the grades underneath.
Wow.
So it was like it was very important for her to go to school and to not miss things. And we really didn't know what we were missing before we started on the Shaklee products.
And then Christian also.
Christian, he was able to just become stronger and healthier, and was on the middle school basketball team. And by high school, he was actually playing basketball and running track and cross country. And by his junior, senior years, he was competing at the state and regional levels in track and cross country. And for him, also he was a very smart kid that had focusing problems in middle school, and I was constantly trying to figure out how to motivate him and keep him focused and on track. And I really think the fish oil made a difference for him, and I didn't know to give him fish oil before I started listening in on some of the webinars.
And the B complex also, right? Those two things.
Well, the B complex, I added those in after they got into the sports, and I knew B was to help with stress, and they were stressing out their bodies with all of the sports they were doing. So I added in the B complex and talked to them about why they needed the B complex, and they would choose to use the B complex themselves sometimes. And then they both like the physique shakes, which are part of the sports nutrition line, and those are still their favorite shakes. And then Christian, when he got into high school, he was taking a heavy course load plus doing the sports, so he would use the stress relief complex sometimes if he had a lot of project work and tests, and he would use the energy chews sometimes before he would run hurdles and track or do a cross-country meet, or if he was up late studying. And the osteomatrix helped Lauren quite a bit because she would get some leg cramps. She started running cross-country also and track, and the osteomatrix helped her quite a bit with cramping issues, and so I would have her take that before she went to bed.
Yeah, many people don't realize that the minerals that we need for our bones, the calcium, the magnesium, the manganese, the boron, all of that, is not only important for our bones, it's very important for our muscles. And when those kids have what parents are used to calling growing pains, they really are calcium, classic calcium deficiency symptoms. So that was a very smart thing. Your kids are tall too. That was really smart. So there was your program, and now Christian made it into Rice University, which is an excellent school. So let's take a look at what some of these products are that you use with the kids, and let's talk about two things. One is how to get their immune system so that they're strong. So even though they're going to be exposed to things, they don't come down with viruses that take them out of school and lose that valuable time. And so some of the key the key things that we can do as parents to make sure our kids have a strong immune system, one is rest. And interesting, young children need about 10 hours of sleep a night, but teenagers need about 9. So kids are growing and they need time to sleep. And even as an adult, we should be getting close to 8. So rest is very important. It's when your body repairs. And exercise is so important. Getting kids involved in sports programs, it's one of the best things we can do, and limiting screen time. Creating a toxic-free environment, and a healthy diet with what Michael Pollan, who's a fairly famous author now in defense of food and food rules, he says make sure they're eating real food that grows out of the soil that nature has given us, vegetables, fruits, and then provide the nutrients that are too critical to leave to chance. And so here are the basic nutrients for the immune system. And in the case of what Crystal was talking about, she provided that multivitamin for her kids because they were old enough to swallow when she began. But for little ones who can't, it comes in the form of a chewable one, and we'll show you that in more detail. And then there are 2 forms of the vitamin C. There's a chewable form for the little ones, and then there's a sustained release form. We'll show you in a moment. And then probiotics. Optiflora is one of the most amazing probiotics, and we'll give you some more details about how that differs from other ones on the market. But 80% of your immune system is in the gut, and that's why the probiotics are so important. Alfalfa, which is acts like a natural decongestant, but when the kids were little, they would just chew it, even though it kind of tastes like minty grass. It is amazing. It was a human food in biblical times, and this one is a particularly pure form. And then protein shakes, especially for breakfast, and then the echinacea defend and resist chew when you feel something coming on. So, Crystal, tell us a little bit about the products that you use for breakfast with the kids.
Well, my kids really like the meal shakes. They both like the chocolate. Christian liked the chocolate and the vanilla, and that was really the shake that they had most often. The 180 smoothies they've had now that they're older, but when I first started them out, it was all about those meal shakes, and I really like that they like them. They taste good, and because they taste good, they would drink them, but they also have a lot of vitamins and fiber and protein in them, so they are really nutritionally balanced, which is hard to do when you're trying to get 2 kids ready for school in the morning and everybody else out the door.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And then energizing soy shakes, and then the Shaklee 180 smoothie. So there's a nice variety. Whatever the kids like, you can provide for them. And then this is a great snack that you can use with kids for after school. You can send it in lunches, and kids will think it's dessert, but it is packed with nutrients. You want to tell them about that?
I made the peanut butter fudge, but I made variations of it. I started with this recipe, but sometimes I would add in some pecans or some cocoa powder to make it a chocolate peanut butter fudge. And I would cut it up into little squares, and I had those little candy papers that were, actually mine are all Christmas decorated, but I'd cut them into squares and set them in those little candy papers and put them on a dish, and the kids just thought that was the greatest thing ever.
Oh, that's great. And it is just packed with protein, which is sometimes hard to get into kids. So it can be made with almond butter also. It's really a versatile product. So
I think that's an important snack to have for kids to have ready for them after school, because they really need that protein recharge at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so and you, as not only a mom but also a former teacher, you know that that energy can start coming down mid-afternoon. So Joe,
yeah.
Tell us about the Incredivites.
Well, yes, the Incredivites, along with the Mighty Smarts and the other products that we're talking about, to me, simply to put in a simple sentence, this is just nutrition that our kids need to outrun, outsmart, and outshine everybody else. And the Incredivites, I think, are a fabulous product. Now, our sons are adults now, but we have two grandsons, 6 and 3.5. They love the Incredivites, and I'm thrilled that they'll take them, because if you just look at what it tells us on this chart, studies show that kids with inadequate nutrient intake perform poorly in school. And it's like somebody had to do a study, for that.
Yeah,
It's like you
yeah.
just kind of know that.
Hmm.
Um, Poor nutrition will negatively impact a child's immune system, their bone growth, their overall physical development. I mean, it's just it impacts them hugely. And in a recent study, 55% of children tested had low levels of vitamin D, which is really critical for, among other things, but for bone building, which their little bodies are, doing a lot of in those early years. And the immune system has been shown um, to be activated by lactoferrin, which is a milk protein also found in breast milk, which is, our Incredivites has a nice supply of that. And then just taking a look at, some of the bona fides for Incredivites. It's the first kid's chewable multi in the U.S. with immune supporting power of that lactoferrin, which is critical for the immune system, has 23 essential nutrients. A lot of vitamin power with the C and E and the B vitamins, and then vitamin D, calcium, vitamin K. And here's an interesting thing. I think if a person does some research, you quickly find out that a lot of multis on the market, not only do they have artificial flavors and sweeteners, but they have very little or no minerals, which are crucial,
That's right.
as well as the vitamins. So, with Shaklee, we're getting so much, for us in these tablets that the kids can chew. And like I said, our grandsons just absolutely love them. In fact, I think they'd eat more than 2 a day if I allowed them, or
Oh,
their mom allowed them to.
Caden would too. And so then, Joe, let's also talk about vitamin C, because this is a really nice basic vitamin that really helps support that immune system, especially as they're going to be going back into the classroom with all those other germy kids. So.
Well, and Barb, I don't think it's not only that. It's known, vitamin C. Of course, I think when we think of it, it's kind of known as the infection fighter. But I think we have to be aware as parents, grandparents, whether aunts and uncles, that vitamin C is depleted by stress. Whether that stress comes from infections or fatigue or anxiety or pollution or extreme ranges in temperature, and stress depletes that vitamin C. And if there's not enough vitamin C, then there's not what the body needs in terms of resources to build a strong immune system. So when you look at what vitamin C will do, it's an antioxidant, a natural antihistamine. It builds that connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, skin, reduces the risk of cataracts, helps reduce allergy symptoms, reduces the risk of cancer, and it's used in the prevention and treatment of colds. So I just think having a bottle of the chewable vitamin C around to feed to the kids is really important.
And that sustained release C, by the way, there's a lot of vitamin C's on the market, and the consumer really has no way of knowing how much of that is absorbed. And what I love about that sustained release C is they coated the entire vitamin C complex with natural gums and waxes from plants, and so it melts like an ice cube down the entire length of the intestinal tract, slowly releasing C as it goes along. So really an excellent product. Crystal, I know that the probiotic system was pretty important for your family. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think that the Optiflora was probably the one product that made the biggest difference in Christian and Lauren's health initially, because their immune systems were just so compromised from all of the antibiotics that they had been on. And my pediatrician didn't ever tell me follow a an antibiotic with a probiotic. I learned that from Shackley webinars. So the Optiflora, it restores the beneficial microorganisms in your gut, and 80% of your immune system resides in your gut. So what the antibiotics kill off, they're pretty non-specific a lot of times, and everything, and then you've got to put it back with the probiotic. And when I started doing that with the kids was when they really started recovering faster, and then not needing to go back on an antibiotic, a month or month and a half later.
Very good. And this is one of the reasons why it's so effective. Probiotics are actually very fragile. And what most people don't realize is when they eat yogurt or when they take most probiotic products and they swallow it, it falls into the stomach, which is filled with hydrochloric acid. And about 90% of those probiotics will die before leaving the stomach. And so Shackley scientists told us when this product was introduced, it had been the single most requested product for 10 years. But they wouldn't release it until the technology had caught up to the point where they could guarantee live delivery of the microflora to the lower intestine where it belongs. So they found a way to coat it with 3 layers to protect it as it passes through the different areas of the intestinal tract. And this is just a quick chart of all the things that that Optiflora can benefit from: intestinal issues with gas and bloating and constipation, candida issues with an overgrowth of yeast, allergies, big time, antibiotics, any kind of digestive disorders. They really respond well with the Optiflora. And then when viruses strike,
That's an ugly looking thing.
I know, I worked hard to find that. And Susan, not son, said, "There's a shack for that," And it was so cute.
It is.
And there is. And there, we all have our favorite kind of virus attack toolkit, and these are the 3 that I recommend for the little ones to start with. When you get into the bigger kids, who can swallow, you can add some others, including their garlic tablet, which is excellent. But alfalfa is a type of a plant farmers grow to make a very high quality hay. And it is just a remarkable plant. It is loaded with trace minerals and other kinds of antioxidants, and it seems to act like a natural antihistamine. And with little bitties, you can crush it in juice in a sippy cup, or Caden, who's 2.5, he just chews them. So who knows why 2-year-olds do anything. And then Defend and Resist, the echinacea product, you do not take every day. You keep it up in the cabinet, but when you feel something coming on, then you take a lot of them, maybe 6 across the day. They're wonderful to suck on. They have zinc in them. They're like a zinc lozenge. But that is a really excellent echinacea product. And then Nutriferon, which is a remarkable product, was developed by the chemist who received a Nobel Prize for his work, and he discovered one of the most important components of the human immune system, which is interferon, and that led to him spending the rest of his career indexing and cataloging plant extracts until he found the combination that would stimulate the body's own natural production of interferon. And that is just a remarkable product, totally safe. Boy, is it effective. And so that's a nice little program that you can have in your house to help prevent colds. If you have people in your home who are particularly prone to colds and viruses and have weakened immune systems, have allergies already, they may want to take all of that every day. But the others, when the weather starts turning cold, you might want to take a little more. Just you use what you need to until people can be healthy all the time, and that means a strong immune system. And the other thing we want to talk about a little bit is nutritional support for the brain, because now we're going to be talking about this in more detail in I think when it's about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, we have coming up on a wellness webinar in September. We're going to talk about ADD and ADHD and factors that support the brain and factors that are damaging to it. But tonight, I just want to touch on this quickly because of what Crystal had said about what a difference the B complex and the omega guard made when she got her kid started on that. So again, be aware, rest is very important for healthy brains. Exercise is very important. That's how you get the oxygen in and you get the nutrients in and you get the toxins out. Live in a toxin-free environment. The brain is the most sensitive organ in the human body, and so it's very important that these children, that our brains not be exposed to excessive amount of toxins, and that speaks to the cleaning products that Crystal mentioned earlier, and then healthy diet again, and then what are the nutrients that are particularly critical for the brain, and here they are. Omega-3 fatty acids, both in the form of Mighty Smarts, which I'll tell you about in 1 minute, or the Omega Guard in the capsule. B vitamins, very important for the brain, for the nervous system, depleted by sugar, depleted by any refined carbohydrates, depleted by stress, by medications, by alcohol, and by caffeine. In other words, we live in a highly B vitamin deficient world. You know, all of those things that we eat and do deplete B vitamins, and that's why we have huge amounts of anxiety, depression, irritability, lack of focus, because the brain cannot function well without it. And on top of that, they're water soluble. So they're constantly leaving the body and need to be replenished. And you replenish them with dark green leafy things, which sometimes you might have noticed kids aren't wild about. And so it's a dilemma for parents. And then protein that Crystal spoke to is that we have to stabilize the blood sugar in order for the brain to function properly. And protein and fiber and natural foods is the best way to do that. Joe, talk to us a bit about Mighty Smarts.
Yeah, the Mighty, I love those. They're like they're cubes wrapped in a little foil wrapping, and they have a great taste. Kind of an orangey sort of taste, but the importance of the Mighty Smarts is because of the DHA that they have, and that's an essential omega-3 fatty acid that affects early brain and eye development. And again, studies are out there that show that a lot of kids, many kids, don't get enough of this important nutrient. And then, you know, if you say, well, my kids eat healthy and I make sure they eat all the kinds of the right foods, hey, that's wonderful. But realize foods high in DHA are sardines, tuna, and organ meats like liver. Now, I don't know about your kids, but
I'm not eating that stuff.
Not going to work in our, at our house with the grandchildren. I know that. And so, and then there's the, so even if you eat a large amount of fish, which is, wonderful, you have to watch out for that because it can lead to unhealthy exposure to mercury and other environmental toxins.
That's gotten to be a huge problem.
Yeah, oh yeah, very much so. And and it's like a child's brain forms not millions or billions, but they form. A child's brain forms trillions of cell connections during the first decade of life. So why wouldn't you want them to take take Mighty Smarts to ensure that those connections are being developed properly and in a healthy way and that they're solid and strong? Yeah, it just seems to make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, where is it? Did it move? Oh, I don't know if I told you about that. There was I'll tell you more about this next month when we're going to be talking more specifically about brain chemistry, but this was a very interesting research study done with omega-3 fatty acids in Australia that showed that tremendous improvements in attention, vocabulary, behavior, concentration, reduced impulsivity, kids were calmer, helped dyslexia, depression, all of that with omega-3 fatty acids. So they're very important. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so the Mighty Smarts, like it says, they're high in that DHA omega-3, which is brain power. And DHA helps support concentration, memory, vision. And I'm telling you, I mean, we all like to think that our children or our grandchildren are the brightest, the smartest, the cutest, the whatever. But with Evan and Owen, they take those Mighty Smarts and they not only, I mean, they absolutely love them, but I am amazed at their memory, and I really believe that these products make a difference, for them with, in terms of that. And there's 100 milligrams of that DHA per serving, which is a level clinically proven to increase blood levels in children's ages 4 to 12. And then, I love it. It's the Shackley Super Safe quality control kinds of things that really make this a product that you can feel good about having your kids take. It's 100% natural, ultra pure, no artificial colors, sweeteners, preservatives, gluten-free, which is, an important thing right now, and then certified organic by Quality Assurance International. So you just know that you're getting a real quality product that's safe to give your kids and will benefit them tremendously.
All right. Good. Okay. And so there we go. Go
So
ahead, Joe.
so the Shackley, I mean the kids program here is, with the two products, Mighty Smart and Incredivites. And I always felt with our boys, they got the multivitamin from Shackley. We always sent them to school with one of the protein shakes, and I always felt like with them taking these basic products, that if they didn't eat right all the time, if they snuck in food that I didn't want them to be eating, if they got off on their little tangents in terms of their food choices, we didn't have to go to the wall with the kids about that, because as long as they took, and they always did, they took their Shackley products, I knew that the basic nutritional bases were getting covered, and it was just a good feeling for me as a mom. So the Mighty Smarts and then the Incredivites.
Very good. All right. So a great starting place for the little ones. And then the omega-3 fatty acids, for those who can swallow, I want you to know there is a big difference in fish oil products. They become very trendy. There are a lot of products on the market, and they are a wide variety of safety, which is my biggest concern, but also potency, because the consumer has no way of knowing what percentage of the oil in a fish oil capsule actually contains the essential omega-3 fatty acids that we're looking for. And there are 7 different ones. There's a full spectrum of them in this, but they are to ultra pure pharmaceutical grade. That's very important. There have been so many studies now done. There was one by Consumer Reports. There was another one done in California where they took various fish oil products and they tested them for contaminants. And they found a whole bunch of them. I think there were 8 or 9 that all contained, and they were just testing for PCBs, and they were sued for that, and they won the lawsuit. But they didn't even test for mercury and heavy metals. They didn't even test for dioxin, just for that one. And in the consumer lab studies, it's often up to even a third of the products they test do not have what's in the capsule measuring up with what is on the label. And so the consumer is very much at risk around this. And it was very nice. This product has such high standards of purity, but they also receive a lot of this independent endorsement from the Environmental Defense Fund. So it's a great product. Joe.
Yeah, what I love about the feeling good about taking Shackley products for ourselves and then having our children and our family take them is, of course, Shackley's Pure Science. And I mean, if you're an analytical type person and you need all of the bona fides and you want to see the data and you want to see the studies, you know what? we can give those to you. We can find them. We can make them available so you can just read all that. But if you're more of a person who just says, I just want to have something I know is going to work and that I can trust is safe for my kids, that, you know, that's it. That's Shaklee. 4 generations in our family have relied on Shaklee. And for me, it's always been easy for me to have my family take Shaklee because I have learned I can trust this company. And so can you. So can every one of us that's on the webinar tonight and others that aren't. You know, and to me, that's the key. It's the trust factor. And then the Shaklee guarantee, which is just wonderful. There's a certain comfort level in knowing that the products are the best. And they put everything that you need in the Shaklee products and nothing that you don't. So you're not going to find little junky things mixed in there just because they make, I don't know, they're a filler or whatever they are.
Well, and sometimes companies will put a lot of things on the label, but they end up being in such tiny amounts that they're really not of an appreciable amount to be of any value. It's just to impress you
right,
on
or
the label.
yeah, and sometimes what's on the label, as I understand it, Barb, is that there might be more of some of that item or that nutrient in the product.
Which is not good either.
Yeah, so again, see, to me, it comes down to trust with Shaklee.
Very good. And so we just want to wrap up by, I want to pick up on what Crystal said earlier about the toxins, that we need to be aware that there is a wonderful new chief scientific officer at Shaklee named Dr. Bruce Daggy. He's a wonderful man. He's been devoted to the field of wellness and prevention for 30-some years. He's an expert in weight management and sports nutrition and in nutrition in general. And he was telling us that one of the things that is of great concern to him is that Shaklee never compromises on their standards, and I don't know if people realize how important that is to us, but that is rare in today's business world. And he said that the biggest challenge that this company has is continuing to find ingredients that are pure.
Yeah.
Finding sources, and he gave us some examples, which I won't go into right now, about how they do that. And they're even now looking at how they might have more control over even the growing of the ingredients to make sure that they are being grown to their standards. And they're hoping that in the process of doing that they will create a higher interest among the growers and among the farmers to really grow high quality pure ingredients. And so that's the Shaklee standards, and I just like people to know that. And so it shows up in the cleaning products, which is how Crystal had begun, in the skincare products, and now the Shaklee baby products are back again, and we're so glad because they are just a wonderful line. And I just want to mention here, I've got one eye on the clock, that Crystal, you mentioned that Christian has particularly sensitive skin.
Yes, he has always been my child that gets rashes, and so switching to the Get Clean products was actually more of about the environment initially, but then he started having fewer rashes, and now he uses the Enfusel products too. I mean, my 15-year-old daughter does, but surprisingly enough, so does he, and he took some with him to college too, because they do not irritate his skin.
Very good. And so if you've got great big kids who can swallow tablets or who may be going off to college like Christian, the Shaklee multivitamin is very economical. When you buy a large bottle, it lasts about 4 months and comes out to be about $10 or $11 a month. It's very economical. B complex. B complex for stress, B complex for moods, B complex for focus, and for all the things come with college and high school and studies. Vitamin C and Nutriferon for the immune system, Optiflora, the probiotic for the immune system, a good, healthy, high-protein breakfast shake that's fast and convenient, or you can get that vitalizer box that you see on the slide there. That is that's what you sent Christian off with, right?
Oh, and yeah, funny enough, as much as he used to fight me over how many pills he had to swallow at breakfast each day, he started taking the vitalizer on his own and gave me a list of what he wanted to take with
Oh,
him to college, and vitalizer was on the top.
That's so
oh,
cool. That is
that's
so
really
cool.
cool. That's really cool. Because you know what? You want it to be a choose to and not a have to. And when you
Right.
connect it to the benefits that they get, it's really wonderful. And then for the little ones, we have the Incredivites, that wonderful chewable, the Mighty Smarts, a chewable omega-3. How they made fish oil taste so good, I don't know. Chewable C, and then a good healthy breakfast shake. Any from among that whole list there. And so I asked the question, what if our kids could have their best year ever? They could have perfect attendance at school. They could get straight A's. Learning could come more easily. They could feel better and therefore act better and be more cooperative, helpful, sweet-natured, courteous, kind, thoughtful, cheerful, eager to set the table, take out the garbage, help their parents in any way, and
Whoa.
be happy. And so that is our conclusion. Thank you for joining us. Are there any questions, Joe, that we need to address?
Yes. As a parent with a special needs child, Greg says, I'm learning so much from your webinar. Is there any chance you would be willing to share your slides?
Of course, yeah, they're all archived at betterhealthin31days.com. And interesting, if you know people who do have children with special needs, we did a session in July that is archived there, betterhealthin31days.com. And it was on specifically about Down syndrome, but the things we covered there were appropriate for many other kinds of disabilities, and that was a great
Mm-hmm.
session.
Mm-hmm.
And so you may want to go and listen to that one as well. And
Is
then I
it
think Angie,
safe? Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, please, go ahead.
Is it safe for a 4-year-old to take Omega Guard?
Sure, sure. If you can get a 4-year-old to swallow it, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, it's wonderful. If you think about in other countries, that is a major part of their diet is, fish oils and seafoods and stuff. Sure.
They don't need a password to access the slides, do they?
Oh, it Better
There's,
Health in 31 Days. Yes, I think they do.
yeah, but
Yeah,
they,
that one you need to subscribe to that. But the reason that you'll want to do that is that allows us to bring these seminars to you and archive them for you, and it just pays for our web person to post them and pays for that website, and so I think it's $14 a month or something
yeah,
like that.
and it's a convenient, there are lots of webinars posted there, and it's a nice place to be able to send people that,
Yeah, so you can send links to it. It's really
yeah.
excellent. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it, Barb.
Great. Thank you all for joining us. And next week we're going to be talking about, Joe, Inside the World of Shackley, and we'll be doing
Yes.
a 1-hour session next week. It'll be an overview of all the different benefits of Shackley, some really fascinating things about the history and philosophy of this company. We'll talk about some products. We'll have another visitor who has quite a powerful story with her child, and then we'll talk about how you can help also get discounts on your products and even get them
Yeah.
free. So
Just
join us next
a
week
nice
again.
overview next week.
Mhm.